Now, please switch off ourselves in the sense that for the next 1 hour from your daily routine jobs and try to look at your own business from a bird's eye view. The interaction then will be more interesting. Maybe the takeaways would also be interesting. As we all know that the whole aim of this on these webinar series is helping companies to identify the innovative ideas and thereby apply for the develop call wherein you could get funded for those innovative ideas for just 4 months project. Please switch off your camera and keep your microphone on the mute mode, which is default set. At the end of the webinar, when we have got around 10 to 10 minutes, we would open the forum for questions. Then you could unmute yourself and ask questions. In case if you want to write in the chat box, you can please feel free to write as well. Those questions will be addressed at the end of the session. As I've already told, there is a recording available. So this recording, you will also, in case if you want to share with your colleagues from your own company or otherwise, you could also you could also go back to the InTransit platform, and this recording will be available there in a couple of days from now. Great. Just to introduce, because this topic is a bit more technical, I thought I'll just set the context in terms of introducing where I come from, what is the background I have, so that when I introduce the topics in this particular webinar, it might be related to the professional experience I have. My name is Sandeep Joshi. I'm an industrial engineer, MBA, and in international business, MSc in data analytics, and Six Sigma Green Belt holder. I've been practicing business consulting for last 11 years or so out of my 21 years of work experience. As a business consultant, my focus is, completely on operational excellence projects using data and simple data analysis and basically getting the company on the path of structuring what they have and simplifying using what they already have without addition of new machines, without addition of new skill nor new software. So, and based on that, based on my own experience, it has been observed that with simplification projects, we have been able to achieve close to 10% or more improvements in the areas we have identified. Presently, I am working as a lean and digitalization advisor with IDM. IDM is an industrial cluster based out of Ireland, Limerick. It's Irish Digital Engineering and Advanced Manufacturing, wherein I again work with companies to help them identify those operational challenges and also handhold them in introducing them various projects wherein they could apply for funding and get successful to fill that funding gap. I enjoy working with companies in simplifying their business operations and use data analysis as a tool and change management as the methodology in bringing in the change the companies want to see. With that, what are the different points I would want to cover today are how data analytics and how is it emerging towards machine learning, importance of connecting the man plus machine with data analytics for streamlined performance, push or pull to catch up and stay ahead in evolving industrial ecosystems, where to start, because many companies always have this in their mind when they have a bit of cash in terms of funding also available for investing in such technologies or in these you could say the initiatives. They are a bit confused about where to start. What simple steps could we take? Could they all be distinct, or could they be in a form of a chain of activities so that the companies can start reaping benefits one after the other, and not as in a haphazard way? And how is the change management very important during this process of implementation? Should the companies follow other companies in the sense that, okay, they have this in the same industry, this company has introduced this software, should we also do the same? I covered these topics in my previous webinar, and I'll touch upon those in the coming slides. The flow of presentation would be: what is the need for new technologies? Because if a company is running smooth, we are getting customers, sales are going well, customers are happy. What is the need for new technologies? Is there a need to change? Emergence of data and information as a growth lever, artificial intelligence, and summary. So these are the topics. I would basically want to stress upon here, as I told it in the beginning, that we are not going to see something miraculous or magical as we nowadays see on internet about artificial intelligence or new technologies, because the internet is flooded with all of that. What I want to focus on this in this webinar is all of us in as form of SMEs are looking towards improving. And when we look at improving, we have to go step by step based on where we are. So the whole focus of this webinar is to help companies realize that and take that first step to identify, okay, what should we do next to improve? Let's start with need of new technologies. In my last webinar on firm growth and upscaling, we started off, and some topics which were introduced was, we compared the firm with an animal with regards to influenced change and adaptation. In fact, I showed an image, a GIF, you could say, that how each of the animals, the living creatures, move continuously. The movement could be in the form of for the survival, or it could also be for thriving, that is growing. What factors affect firm growth, and how evolution change is inevitable and continuous. We compared the firm or the company with living organisms, how companies avoid threats and how they capitalize on the opportunities continuously, sometimes knowingly or unknowingly. How it is intended, that is experimental, and how it is unintended, that is forced. We touched upon importance of adaptation, that is eyes and ears for companies who are on constant lookout for opportunities and threats in each department, so that it is aligned, the growth is aligned. Internal factors and external factors which assist this change. Importance of being there consistently so that we are growing in the way we intend to grow. That is business strategy. And how do we use change management as a process? If you're interested to go through this webinar, it's available on the platform. You could actually go through that, and you can get some insights as well. Based on what we discussed just now, we would want to see what is the need for new technologies. Why are we always, even as individuals, looking out for something new? For example, if you are traveling in a train on a public transport nowadays, you could see people are consistently scrolling. They're searching for something new. Nobody is, happy at what we have. We always want to see something new, something. That's what I could say is the nature. It's a human inbuilt nature, and it's universal. When we apply the same kind of inquisitiveness to the companies want to solve existing business challenges. So they are on lookout for some new technologies, which could be operational or technical in their field. It could be business process management field. They would also be looking at different cutting edge inventions. We covered about five forces, Michael Porter's forces, which act on the business in the last webinar. Similarly, these inventions, many of the topics, many of the things which are happening nowadays in the businesses are that we don't see that the product is in a particular sector and that could come to this industry. For example, we gave some references to a camera which was separate, you could say, product or earlier, but with the advent of mobile phones, nowadays you won't see camera separately being used by people, because high resolution cameras are built in the mobile phones. So threat of substitutes is there. And how do the companies use for these, so that they could use what is existing, adopt and align, so that they also consider the cyber security features, etc., so that they keep growing by those adaptation methods. Technology intervention could be anything which solves or simplifies the problem. For example, a jig or a fixture, customized machine, software, robot, protective gear, etc. If Let's talk about data analysis. So I'll touch upon this part in a bit more detail, so that we start looking at what we have internally as data and start using that as a leverage. The technology basically means the application of scientific knowledge for practical purposes, especially in industry. The branch of knowledge dealing with engineering and applied sciences. Why am I looking at this is now, till now, lot of investment, both in terms of effort and time, has gone into companies for capturing data, storing data, and retrieving data. However, the if we look at the effort versus the result part or the return on investment part in terms of effort, the financial investments, and the daily time which goes into it, we still see that head of departments spend close to half a day at the end of the month, depending on the companies, to prepare slides for the monthly meeting, which we feel is not value adding. So where is it that we are missing? Do we have eyes and ears for identifying applicability of new technologies in our firm? Are they centrally positioned or in each department? How do we discuss these new technologies? Is it ad hoc, or is there a particular channel, in the sense that there is a topic, there is a small slide, or there is a time devoted for discussion in the monthly meeting only for what are the new technologies, what could we adopt, how can that simplify, etc. SMEs generally have these discussions, but they are not in a structured form. If we can bring in that structure with less time, possibly we could see changes much faster in a more effective way. Is there scope to improve? Is what we should continuously keep discussing. Emergence of data or information as a growth lever. So we have understood that yes, technologies are going to emerge across. They have been emerging, and we have been adopting. Some businesses start off with new technologies coming into into the arena, and they start as a new business unit as well. But there are multiple businesses which actually start using these technologies in terms of, so that they actually are able to capitalize on what is available, how they are able to use that, and also how they can use it as a lever to grow in a measurable way. Let's see. Data seems to be everywhere, right? We have seen it. We also have heard data is a new oil. But data, as I mentioned, if it is not used, the resource, if it is not used in each of the company, be it registers, simple registers where we note down, be it Excel sheets, be it ERP, be it SAP, the effort in collating, cleaning, storing, etc. is a complete waste if we don't use it. Using it to prepare reports on a monthly basis to be submitted elsewhere is one form of a usage, but that's not it. We have to process it, because there is where the story is hidden, and that is a core asset in Industry 4.0 and AI applications. If the data is not structured, if the data is not aligned, and if the data is not processed and analyzed consistently and continuously, then we are losing out hugely with respect to our competition. And just like oil, it's not very useful if it's in the raw state. So a few processing steps are needed, and with the advent of multiple data analysis tools nowadays, many of them open source, you will be able to do it very quickly. What is the life cycle of data then? So the whole point which we are trying to make in this part of the webinar is, try to look at the data what you have within the company. Don't let it go as a waste, in the sense that it is available but not used. Try to also look at it in the form that, is there any duplication of capturing the data, which you should find out and try to stop it. Have a single source of truth, which we call in data, so that you can use the same data, raw data, to process it in different angles to get insights for your daily decision making. So the journey or the life cycle for the data is, there is a data, raw data, which is structured, which then gets converted to information when we process it. This information, over a period of time, when we analyze, when we start connecting the dots, we start getting knowledge out of it. And based on this knowledge, the decisions get supported. This is very, very important, because imagine there are different pieces of puzzle, the first step would be to simplify the complexity just by structuring it, just by putting some things which are big pieces together, small pieces together, etc. And that's called structuring. You might not be able to completely structure it at the beginning, but believe me, because I've done a couple of projects in different sizes of industries, and we have seen that it is possible. There is a start required, and the more the complexity, you will get the results much faster at the beginning itself. That's called quick wins. If you are able to structure the data sets, there will be multiple challenges, and that's why change management is very important. And we will touch upon those in this whole journey. Let's go into each stage. Data stage, at this point, data is at its most raw stage. And you would see a lot of complexity there. Normally, it relates to process variables, for example, power, current, temperature, pressure, vibration, sound. I'm just relating to the context of a simple manufacturing setup. We could relate that with our own company, with different data sets available. Then we also see about different ways of acquisition. Earlier, we acquired data using a simple form of noting down by looking at the meters or by looking at the readings of the meters. Slowly, there was a change that we had sensors, we had transmitters, which then sent data to be stored, etc. So there is a need for data acquisition strategy. So how do we get the data and how do we store the data is what we have to define here. And mind you that this is not required to be complicated, or we don't have to sit for 2, 3 meetings and then decide, okay, this is what we need to do. Start with what you have is what I emphasize, because you already have built or there's a huge amount of data already you have. So start structuring it. A key aspect here is cost of capturing data. It should be lower than the benefit it produces. In practice nowadays, acquiring and storing data is becoming increasingly cheaper. So sometimes companies will just capture data all they can, because the thing is, as with the advent of new sensors availability, with the availability of open source data sets, etc., it is becoming more and more simpler for companies to capture and store data. Some considerations have to be made in terms of balancing between costs versus information and the time spent to capture the data. How often should I sample the process for data? So sometimes we feel that should it be 30 minutes? Should it be every 1 hour? When should we capture data? Should it be too often, too rare? So these decisions, what I feel is, if you have a big data set already, you have invested there, start with, say, bigger samples and not get bothered with, one millisecond sample. Start with say days. So out of 365 days, what is the pattern? Then start with slowly with coming to the hours, etc. And it's even you can simply use Excel as well to monitor the trends. Missing information is also important so that you could identify at what time, or is it a constant form of having missing information during particular times of the day, so that you can fix it, so that your data keeps getting richer and richer. Why we are emphasizing this at the data stages? Unless and until the data is structured and rich enough to be referred to, you cannot progress ahead in terms of machine learning and artificial intelligence. And therefore, emphasize upon this. Not to structure it at the beginning, try to use what you already have, and then you know where to structure and slowly start structuring there. Data security, as we all know, it is important. That is, how do we store it and how do we retrieve it? Once it is captured, we can now consider the process to generate insights, which is information. Concerns here is how do we store, manage, and access this information? So we have relational databases and non-relational databases. And how do we retrieve that? So basically, there's a method called CRUD, which is create, retrieve, update, and delete. We also keep hearing about ETL, extract, transform, and load the data sets. So this is all about capturing the data, structuring the data automatically, transforming the data, and loading the data into our model so that we start getting insights out of it. In the information stage, we can also monitor and control the processes based on the information acquired from the data. So we have the data now. It is structured. We start analyzing the data sets. We actually now look at the data in the form of how they are connected, how these variables are connected in the sense that are they independent or is there a correlation? For example, temperature versus vibration, temperature versus the pressure of water availability, etc. We can also start getting insights from trends, dashboards, data, etc. The first step, if you have to start using the data, is try to look at the possibility of creating a simple dynamic report. We emphasize that your daily reports should not be static. What I mean is the static report just looks at like a printout even on the screen, that it just says, okay, this was the date, this was the time. What you're seeing now on the screen also is a static report for now. If I am able to click on each of these and the numbers change, that's dynamic report. So the whole story of what's happening is available in the dynamic report only on one single page. So we emphasized you to create this, and it is easy. It's not difficult with different simple tools available even on Microsoft like Power BI, Tableau, etc. They're quick to learn, and if not, we don't want to go all the way there. Even in Excel, you could generate this. This is again a knowledge stage, and here when you start generating it, you'll start getting to see the very different forms of variations at different forms of the day. This is kind of structured input, structured output. This is an example of, you could say kilowatt hour consumption for power. At what is the different forms of consumption? You could overlap the data with on the same axis with because time is the axis here. You could start overlapping that with what was the start and stop of the machine, etc., etc., and you'll be able to see the correlation relation factors. The final stage is the decision making stage, and this is also very important. In the decision making stage, how are we facilitating within our company to make decisions is important. We have to emphasize upon using this information, what has been generated, insights, what have been generated, to actually support decisions on a daily basis, even at the shift level. In the consulting terminology, we call it as uh, daily management system. And in the daily management system, we actually boil down into identifying what are the root causes due to which what we planned, we couldn't achieve it 100%. So if we are able to get the root causes and see the trend of the occurrence of these root causes, then we will be able to make decisions much, much easier. And as you keep progressing this, your line in charges or line managers or even supervisors and workers will start seeing what went wrong, what was the root cause, by looking at the dynamic sets or dynamic dashboards themselves. So if that is taken care of, then the errors won't repeat. And if errors won't repeat, automatically your the efficiency increases. So some examples would be use of statistical process control. You could define KPIs. Keep KPIs very simple, mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive. That's called MESE, which means they should not be overlapping. Keep them relative, not absolute, which means, the relative KPI would be the ratio, for example, fuel economy in terms of cars. We don't measure the liters of fuel which we fill in the car, but we measure fuel economy. Okay, in the last trip, my fuel economy was 22 kilometers per liter. So there, it's distance versus consumption of fuel. So that's called absolute KPI. In the last webinar, we also touched upon leading and lagging KPIs. Designing of a KPI also is a skill which could be developed over a period of time. What we emphasize is try to have simple KPIs which you can monitor on a daily basis using dynamic dashboards. And as you keep developing, have those KPIs easily defined even at the worker level. So if the worker level sees KPI A is so much, quickly you should be able to answer to the question why it is so. Slowly, when you start looking at the KPIs, it will start leading to the scheduling. It will go backwards in the value chain. It will, in bigger companies, in most productive companies, it is going all the way even up to suppliers. We must have heard about just-in-time methodologies. We must have heard about scheduling methodologies, Kanban systems. These are lean concepts. But this is where it leads to, wherein everything starts falling in line of alignment. There, if you are able to walk into a company and are able to see less chaos on a daily basis, people are running around less. They are running around, just they know exactly what is required to be done. Machines are able to perform. You don't see things flying around here and there. That is an indication that they are using data, they are making use of insights, and it's also helping them to decide on the go. And therefore, you can set the best practices. Why all this is important? Because companies are going to face lots of VUCA effects, vulnerability, uncertainty, all these things which are coming up nowadays, because the customers' demands are going to increase. There'll be so many more competitors in the market. And therefore, it is very important for us to be lean, to be agile, to move fast, to adopt faster. And therefore, the analysis-based information, it should lead to support decisions at all levels and hierarchies on daily basis, even at the levels of each shift. Right. The right information must be presented to the right people at the right time. So if we have a single source of data, which means everything is there available in structured, you could play around with that in the way you want. If you want to talk about sales, you could go around and look at the sales data out of the same thing. If you want to talk about production efficiency, you could look at the production efficiency. If you want to talk about the machine, utilization, you could use the same thing, the single source of truth as the data, and based on that, you could generate and present the required information to the right people. One more indicator of you having been successful in this journey is, imagine you're sitting in a meeting as CEO or MD, and if you ask for some information to your HODs, if they say that, okay, just give me 5 minutes, I'll come back, then it is not yet there. Because you have invested on ERP, it's SAP is there, or other ERP systems are there, or Excel is there. But if they get up and go, or if they are dependent on a particular person to go and get that insight, then there is still some way to go. So there is still some journey you have to complete to get that into the dynamic form, so that you get the insights then and there. Unfortunately, you don't carry ERP or SAP into your meeting room. It's available in your server. So if you connect that with the dynamic dashboards, it's very, very quick and easy to play around and see and take decisions dynamically with the change of the demands from your customer side. Great. So let's go to the next one. This is again an example of energy consumption data. I'll touch upon some quick, examples of case studies, what we as an industrial cluster have worked with. This might give you some insights. We basically are working primarily with uh, production-based companies. We are working with advanced manufacturing companies. So these data sets you will find more related to that. And the examples are the case studies are related to that. So you could also correlate. And in the question answer session, you could also ask some questions related to construction, because I myself have done 3 projects in construction. In textiles, I have done 2 projects. Similar, application of data to solve their operational issues, challenges. So if we have some queries there, please don't hesitate to ask questions in the question answer session. This was energy consumption data. Um, this is the knowledge stage, which is just initial descriptive analysis. Just put that into a graphical form and it will tell you a story. Then you can start combining that into a clustered form, that is in terms of time analysis, the lag, etc. And then it will give you a more concise story. You could also use the data to dimensionalize it. So you could see the same data when it is spread out. You will not be able to see it or get more information out of it, because if it is, say, every second data. So if you are able to put it in this form of a 3 dimensions, then you'll be able to see it is clustering. So there are models available which you can easily use. And these models will help you generate this kind of a cluster, so that you could get to know, okay, what's happening, where is your data more focused or more clustered. This could be you could see these three stages, these three circles of consumption of energy. This could be at the start of the machine. This could be during the machine being uh, in the process of running it, and this could be at the end of it. So basically you'll be able to see and analyze and gauge, okay, what is it good to start and stop with VFDs very regularly? Is it good to have it running over a period of time and then stop? What is the best way of using a machine? That might give you some answers. This is again similar to application. Okay, so we will slowly go towards machine learning from here on now. Let's see the next slide. Yeah, this is again OE. I'll not touch upon this. Some data analysis concepts, not touch upon this. So let's go to this. Okay, fine. So I'll before we go on to the actual case studies, there are some applications I want to basically share. Real-time decision making, we covered this, improves productivity, increases profits. So have KPIs on these so that you can measure both operational changes, in the sense operational improvements and financial improvements. Financial improvements should always be certified by your financial team. Operational improvements should be proposed and projected by your operational team. And you as a CEO or MD should basically facilitate this process of them talking to each other in the form of numbers. The faster it happens, the earlier you'll get results. You could use that then to reduce waste, scrap, increase yield, that is the raw material yield, mitigate failures, reduce costs, increase uptime of the product, machines, develop new business models, reduce environmental impacts, reduce energy, water usage, you can make your business more sustainable, compete for markets and attract and retain talent. And the whole as a process, the company can become more agile. What are the different applications in digital transformation? So we have got operational excellence, lean, data-driven decisions, smart manufacturing. Uh, we could have machine or plant factory work, cyber physical systems. These are all the different kind of terminologies used. Robot vision systems. For all of this, whatever data you have needs to be structured. Simulation models for production, digital simulation models, digital twins nowadays is become very, very popular. AR or VR. If you want to know more about digital twins and examples, you could ask me questions at the end. I could give you some examples. Data-driven energy efficiency. This is there. We've done a recent project, and we achieved around 12% of improvement within 6 months. Could share that example. These case studies are with different companies here based out of Ireland, and we could actually see application of data analysis customized for their own with whatever they have. Now, one more thing we have to remember here is it's all customization based. One data analysis model which is implemented in another company might not be easily plug and play sort of mode within your company, because the data what you have is completely different to the structure of the data what the other company has. So you will have to customize it, and it's very easy to customize. Takumi Precision, they optimize shop floor production operations through digitalization and visualization of operator activities, automatic analysis of machine or job status, cloud-based data visualization, on-time delivery. Boston Scientific worked on it's a Galway-based company. They worked on automatic data collection, business intelligence-based reporting usage, machine learning optimization. Time saving was 12% for manufacturing and engineering technicians. Stryker is another big company based out of Cork in Ireland. They worked on optimization of production file management system using real-time analytic routines and data management, 90% reduction in transfer time, 60% reduction in machine downtime, and better quality. Similarly, Henkel Dublin, Lufthansa Technics, Shannon, Zimmer Orthopedics, Shannon, they worked on different application of data analysis. They chose to analyze their particular topics. For example, Zimmer worked on, on monitoring, real-time monitoring solutions for grinding machines, because that was where they saw that there is an opportunity for improvement. So that way, if you have focus on using data, then you could identify where you want to improve, analyze, and you'll surely be able to improve or bring in change. At least bring everybody on the same platform, see this is what is happening, this is where we are losing, this is where we could improve. And it gives you a very good platform, and I could say a common tool for everybody to come on a single level of discussion and then agree and proceed towards the next level. I'll not touch upon each of these. It will be available in the form in once you go through this presentation. It will be available. You'll be able to get into this because we are going to touch upon how do we go to the next step of using this for creating digital twins, for creating machine learning algorithms, and later on towards artificial intelligence. Well, these are some of the, you could see the numbers here, close to 100,000 euros, 70,000 euros, because small improvements lead to big changes, big savings. Okay, so I'll not touch upon this. We already discussed with this. There's a small thing I want to share here is we generally use same kind of machines or similar make machines. Nowadays, even the machine manufacturers or OEMs are looking towards getting this data from users to whom they have supplied these machines. Why? Because they would get to know more about how their own machines are performing so that they could improve upon it. So they might ask data from you and you could actually sell that data provided it is okay with you, in the sense that it helps you to not only share with them, but you can also make money out of the data. So you could decide. So, for example, if one of the machines is there and you want this data to be, it is okay to be to be shared with the data. There is no customer name. You just have your own product names there. And if the company wants to use, they will identify and analyze. Okay, what was the mean time between failure? What is the start time? What is the stop time? What is the uptake time? What are the different types of failures which the machine has encountered? And that might help them to further improve upon the tools, upon the machinery inputs, etc. Let's touch upon artificial intelligence through machine learning. Okay, so we have another 20 minutes and I'll be able to share some examples here with machine learning and artificial intelligence. Uh, can we imagine a doctor or a lawyer or a politician or anybody nowadays who, even people who are not literate of not using a smartphone? It's very rare. It's getting so inclusive that people can just ask questions and it'll give them the answers. Searching a place, of, letting us know what to eat. I was doing a project recently and it came out. They had a small barcode outside a refrigerator. And I asked them, and that was the dining room. I asked them, what was that barcode for? They said that we don't know how much of milk to stock. Sometimes all the milk is consumed and sometimes the milk is left and it is spoiled. And therefore we have a small barcode. At the end of the day, the person who is leaving, he scans the barcode and he sent, and that lets him know that he can actually ask for the next day delivery of how many milk cans are required. We discussed, okay, we can put a camera inside, and those cameras are available nowadays even on simple websites, the like Amazon, etc., wherein you can order them at a very reasonable rates, and they will automatically order how many cans are required. So how do we use these technologies? They might not be new technology, they are existing, but they are getting connected nowadays. So basically, what we what we are able to connect with these things is that everybody nowadays uses internet. We don't need to be IT specialists. And so it's increasingly important to know that how and what form of data we have and what is the best use we could make out of it. So that till now, we only use descriptive analysis. We just described about what is happening and then we made good progress out of it by simplifying or structuring or streamlining the processes. But now, with the advent of machine learning, we could actually use the same data set to start giving us insights towards what might happen in the future. So there's an example here about machines behaving intelligently. They start thinking like us or like other animals to give output before we ask for it. And that's what is machine learning. Now, in terms of machine learning, I'll just give you the difference also as well in terms of machine learning and artificial intelligence. There are multiple behaviors which machines might not be, conversant with as we have been evolving, interacting with surroundings, touching, hearing, seeing, speaking, moving, etc. Reasoning, making decisions, planning ahead, remembering, discovering, using previous experience. So this, an experimentation to achieve something new. So these aspects are limited to us, the humans. And nowadays, as we keep progressing, as data sets from different industries and different sectors start talking to each other, we start seeing these trends. And that's where it's called as intelligence. Then what is the difference between machine learning and artificial intelligence? Machine learning basically is progressive form of data analysis, which has got iterative process to analyze the data to predict what might happen in the future. So a simple linear equation of y is equal to bx plus c, where c is constant, and we know that, okay, if this is the line on which all the dots form, we would actually get to see that this is where we can predict that if we give two variables, the output could also be known. Furthermore, as we dive into use of computing, there are complex, you could say the equations which get solved and the predictions could happen. The predictions then will start learning on themselves that it predicted whether it is right or wrong, and therefore there are multiple ways. Like I will not touch upon each of them, like different methods called random forest method, or you have got various methods of clustering and analysis, where all these complicated or complex formula are inbuilt for the machine to learn upon about what it predicted versus what actually happened, and based on that it keeps improving as the model progresses. And this one is basically used for machine learning. This is not having any intelligence built in. It's basically learning on what it is predicting based on the results, what is happening, and therefore that is machine learning. We will just touch upon the AI as well. Artificial intelligence is a bit more on machine learning. Machine learning is limited to basically keep predicting and keep learning on what it is predicting. Artificial intelligence is going one step ahead. It starts, thinking of what could get connected. For example, suppose there is a restaurant, right? And you have machine learning model built in that to actually predict what people are going to order more at this time of the day on Thursday, based on the data you have. So the data will tell you that they will order soup at this time of the day, depending on the analysis of the data. And as the machine learning builds on it, it'll emphasize, okay, they'll also order soup with some type of bread. But the third thing which AI, artificial intelligence, might built upon this is it might start looking at what is are there any different events happening around the city? What is the temperature of the day today? Is it raining? It starts correlating different factors without you asking it to correlate. And then when it starts connecting those dots to then tell you that, see, people might not want to have a soup, but they might want to have some more cold drinks. And that's what is artificial intelligence. So there is this, I hope I am able to give you some examples and some clarity on the difference of machine learning and artificial intelligence. This might help you when you are developing or implementing these technologies in your own setup. I will not touch upon this example of coins. Generative AI, this is one thing which nowadays is furthermore coming up on internet. You could ask questions and you'll get this. This was a bit, you see, I used the same slide in the last webinar, which happened in December last year. And just within 10 months, there is so much of change that this has become that time it was a hot topic. Now it's so common that even the kids know about what to do with chat GPTs and likes of chat GPTs. And therefore, this is going to further improve. And what there's a LinkedIn post I did wherein I mentioned that it's going to be further more difficult, and maybe you might need experts, as we have experts to identify fake and original paintings. You might need experts to actually identify whether a person is speaking or what you see on the screen is original or duplicate. Right. So applicability of AI in construction. Okay. So we can split them in two types, related and not to the end product. Uh, we could use Copilot. We could actually use different forms of AI in construction and textile industries. Generative AI could be a powerful tool in development prototyping of new products and sectors. You could actually ask a simple question about, okay, what is the uh, raw material which is available widely in your own region, or which could be available widely in your own region in next 10 years, which you could use in construction, for which there is already approvals by the government to be used it as a construction material. So you can develop business on it, and then this will search in multiple places. It will try to correlate, and it might give you some examples, and then which you can dive deep into. So as and when the AI and ML start developing, there's a huge scope for implementation, and that's where all you SMEs come into picture. So this opportunity, I think, just to close in another 1 minute, the topic, this interesting topic, this is an opportunity. What we emphasize that we should start using data as the leverage for your own identification of where you're heading to. What are the aspects which you are going to look into? Start using slowly machine learning, which is, unless and until we have the first step clearly done, it is difficult to go to the next step. And once the data is structured, you're getting the machine learning inputs, outputs, insights, and then you could then start connecting that with AI. With two important things: always keep a focus on the leakage of data, cyber security. And the last thing which I want to touch upon is ethical usage of AI. This is very important. Uh, you'll always have this into consideration. A hospital screening system not recommending intensive care to some critically ill patients. As you are using AI, you will also see something which is coming as non-correct or incorrect input. So always have a filter which within your own system, so that you could only take what is useful, because it's going to take time for the AI also to develop on these regions. And internally within your own company, you can make it more developed if you are able to use structured data, machine learning, and then AI built on it. Some examples are there. Banks use models to calculate risks, post codes. So, in spite of various challenges, companies have started using this. And mind you, they won't tell you that it's being used most widely. Sometimes you might have a small tick that okay, it's being used, and you're okay with that. But have a look out in terms of what is applicable to your own business and try to adopt. To summarize, please do not follow the herd. Please do not shy away from adopting to new technologies, new learning methods using data. We have to be focusing to be more agile and quick, and that's our strength of SMEs. Adoption is the only way. Each company is different, and therefore your needs should be specific and clearly defined. Evolution of digitalization should be clearly mapped, documented, so that you can always use that documentation to progress in the right form. Ensure that adequate checks and balances are put into place before commissioning next wave with minimum overlap between stages. So manual registers to spreadsheets to ERP to SAP to dashboards. So we have a good flow through of the system, so that the development is clearly mapped. With that, with 10 more minutes to go, I open the forum for any questions. Please unmute yourself and ask questions. It could be any question in your own field. Uh, it could be related to applications or something, or it could be you could ask some questions wherein the other participants, if they have some examples there, they could share those examples. It's interactive. This is a discussion and not per se knowledge sharing. So it might be helpful for all of us. The only aim for this webinar and such webinar series is to help companies think internally of what could be an innovation for them. And these are the topics which would lead towards that. Thank you. The forum is open now. Please feel free to suggest, ask questions. You could ask up applicability. You could share what you're looking for. Is there an operational challenge you want to solve within your company? We might give you some examples. There are multiple people on this forum who have experiences in different fields. So we could actually discuss because we could use these another 5-10 minutes to identify what are the challenges what we are facing, and then there might be simple solutions available there. If I ask a question of how many of us use AI, I think all 40 participants will say that we use AI because it's been very useful in documentation, sometimes creating applications. But otherwise, where else do we use AI? Could you share some examples? Creating presentations, maybe? You could unmute if you want to. You could share, you could discuss. Or if you don't want to unmute, you can just put some words on in the chat box. Great. Well, I think as we see no questions, I think I barely use AI yet. I have to get used to it. It's like a mobile phone, I could say. You will get to used to it without you wanting to. Uh, so it's going to happen now. The thing with these technologies is that it's like a we evolving from resisting earlier not to use a smartphone. In fact, some of us resisted also not to use initially mobiles. We thought that as a distraction and later on, but it's become a part of our daily lives now. AI in manufacturing, especially for data analysis and process monitoring. Okay, that's great. That's really interesting to know that AI is being used in manufacturing. For if you have structured data, you will see kind of miracles very soon in your company in the processes. You could align multiple things. You could become very agile very soon. You could also get your suppliers, customers aligned to those. And believe me, big companies who are your customers will ask you to be aligned with their systems very soon. They are already asking, but with the advent of these structuring techniques, AI and ML, you will be, it's going to happen like tomorrow. It's going to happen very soon. So if we have the structuring thing done earlier, as early as possible, in the stage of your own emergence or development of your SME, that will be beneficial. If we leave it at the end, then it will become more complex, not only for managing your own day-to-day businesses, but also for communicating your story for your venture capitalist funding, for your for selling in with bigger companies to become their suppliers, or to become their contract manufacturers. Always have a window open within your own company to discuss about what is applicable. And many a times, believe me, that these ideas come from the shop floor workers. They could suggest what could be simplified, and you could discuss that and have a team of volunteers to implement this. And there are so many awards. Like recently I was consulting to a big restaurant, hotel chain, and we applied for lean business awards. And that's the best forum where you could meet multiple companies, even the public services companies, hospitals. All of them come there and they say that, okay, this was the problem challenge they had, and this is how they solved it. And 90% of them, or 95% of them, is all starting from data, different forms of analysis. One more thing, what is stressed upon there is how do you bring people to change? Because if you see, oh yeah, machine is stopping, machine is there is a increase in shutdown time. How do you make people realize that there is an opportunity? That's again one of the important parts which you will start learning and it will start implementing as you start getting into more analysis and it's believe me it's simple. It's not going to take more time. Great. I think we are close to the end of this session. I thank you all for participating, and I hope the session was helpful in terms of at least giving you some idea about identifying. I know this was a bit more, I mean, you could say focused on data and analysis, but that's what is we felt that is important for companies because if they leave it unstructured, then they will have to be doing this exercise again later. And two of the important industries in transit being traditional, that is textile and construction, and other two being advanced manufacturing, aerospace and advanced manufacturing itself, we felt that this could be more helpful for traditional sectors or industries like textile and construction to adopt to and grow much faster. Thank you all. Thank you so much for your patience and participation.